Welcome. We're going to be talking about mind remapping and reframing. And we're going to be doing that with essential oils. So welcome. So how many times have we heard, or thought, my chemistry made me do it? So neurotransmitters is what we're going to be talking about mostly, is neurotransmitters and their functions. Where do neurotransmitters come from? Why essential oils play a key role in helping to balance neurotransmitters and get the body functioning correctly. You'll definitely want to pay close attention if you or someone you know has an emotional or neurological impairment or difficulty, struggles with any kind of mood, decision making, focus, or anything of that nature. And basically, neurotransmitters, what they are is they're basically composed of roughly about 86 billion different neurons. And that's basically how the human brain is wired, with those billions and billions of neurons. And these cells actually communicate with each other via chemical messengers, and those chemical messengers are actually called neurotransmitters. Okay? Now, scientists have found that over 100 of these communication chemicals exist, but it's believed that ultimately there are thousands left to be discovered. So what do neurotransmitters do and what are they responsible for? They're actually responsible in regulating our mood, our cravings, our addictions, our energy levels, libido, our sleep cycle, focus, concentration, learning, how we handle stress. And the interesting part is there's about an estimated 86% of Americans that have low neurotransmitter levels or are on the unhealthy side of, lifestyle being the big thing to blame here. So there's things that contribute to that low neurotransmitter availability, and that's going to be things like chronic stress, poor diet, environmental toxins, drugs, mostly prescription, but also recreational as well, alcohol, nicotine, caffeine. Those can all cause depletion of the neurotransmitters and then leave us feeling, trouble with our memory, mood, focus, energy, libido, and sleep. So now I want to kind of just shift just for a moment on how essential oils work, okay? And then we're going to kind of marry the two together. So we have something called essential oils, and they have been used throughout history for thousands of years. Now, we've kind of made this shift into the last 100 years that basically moves us more towards synthetic use of things. And what we want to do is kind of migrate our focus back to the natural, exhaust what we can in the natural realm, because our body is used to things that are natural. And so when we move to those synthetic components, they have huge side effects. But when we go back to natural and we use things that are plant-based, our body gets what it needs because plants are carbon just like we are. So we marry really nicely, and we're able to utilize those natural components and constituents in the human body in a way that gives us a therapeutic benefit. And so what I want to kind of explain to you with this photo here is how the essential oils work in the body. So we have the brain here. We have our essential oil. Now imagine the lid's off and there's this nice aroma coming out of this wild orange bottle, okay? And we smell it. And we have, the amazing thing about the human body is when we inhale, we have 10,000 times the amount of olfactory receptors than we do any of our other senses. So our olfactory receptors they can be saturated really, really quickly and give the brain stimulus, okay? And so what we do is we inhale that wild orange, it then saturates those olfactory receptors, that then goes to the limbic brain. That limbic brain is responsible for a lot of different things. So just by smelling the essential oil, that can improve our mood, help calm our feelings of anxiousness, reduce feelings of anger, It can calm and soothe our blood pressure, calm our pulse, our respirations. It can improve our memory, our focus, help our sleep patterns. And the nice thing is they're 100% safe and they're extremely, extremely effective. These are 50 to 70 times more powerful than herbs. Now we know in Chinese medicine, herbs are what they use to balance the body. Imagine having something 50 to 70 times more potent than that to utilize to balance the body and put it back to its normal state, helping it secure those normal natural functions that God intended. So how would we use essential oils? So we have 3 different ways that we can use them. We can use them aromatically. Now that's going to be you're inhaling straight from the bottle, or you can place 1 to 4 drops in your favorite diffuser. You can place a drop or 2 in the palms of your hands, and then you can hold your hands over your nose and gently inhale, really slowly and deeply. Okay, and that's going to go straight to that limbic brain, right? So that is actually the fastest way to get your essential oils in by aromatic components. Now you can use them topically as well. So we can apply 1 to 2 drops on the back of the neck. And the back of the neck is the gateway to the brain. So imagine where, a lot of the neurotransmitters are going to have functionality is going to be in the brain. Your spinal column has to communicate with every single cell in the body and, that central nervous system. So utilizing the spine and applying a couple drops to the spine area is a great way to utilize that as a go-to method as well as the wrists, the belly button, or the bottoms of the feet. Okay. Now, you can utilize doTERRA essential oils internally. Now, I want to just point out that this is very unique and specific to doTERRA essential oils. If you're utilizing another brand of essential oils, please take a look at the back. Most of the other brands are going to say on there, not for internal use. And that is your first clue that there is probably something in there that they don't want you to take internally. Our essential oils are utilized internally. We have a generally regarded as safe score from the FDA, and most other companies don't even bother with getting that score. They're not tested correctly, and they can't say that it's free of synthetic dyes, fillers, solvents, or any kind of harmful components or constituents. But doTERRA does, so there is a significant difference between the two. Okay, so just want to point that out before you go and maybe buy something from Walmart and then take it internally, and don't want you to have any kind of bad reaction or anything like that. So in utilizing your doTERRA essential oil internally, what you would do is you would place 1 drop on the thumb, hold that thumb to the roof of the mouth for about 10 to 30 seconds, or you can place a drop in an empty capsule, take that internally, or put a couple of drops in your glass of water and drink that down. Now, I like internal use for utilizing and helping the brain and the neurotransmitters because 95% of your neurotransmitters are absorbed in the gut lining. So especially like our serotonin and our feel-good receptors, those are looking, the gut is looking for those neurotransmitters to absorb so that they can be utilized by our brain and our neurologic system. So when we help the gut absorb better, we then have better mood, focus, energy, and that kind of stuff. So that's a great way to utilize your essential oils. It's one of my favorite ways for that reason. Okay. Now, who am I? Who is this girl talking, right? So my name is Dina Wolf. I'm actually a registered nurse. I've been a nurse for about 14 years, and I fell in love with holistics. A friend of mine introduced me to essential oils, and I have seen such amazing results with them that I decided to go back to school for functional medicine, and I've been helping people get healthy the natural way ever since, and I've had some really significant changes with friends that had basically run out of options, so this has just been an absolute blessing for me to learn more so that I can help you and help all these people get healthy the natural way. I am aromatherapy certified as well, I've written books, and I do a lot of these videos, and I love doing them because it helps you. And so I just say welcome, and hopefully I get to meet you someday. So we're going to jump right in and learn what essential oils are going to help to balance some of these neurotransmitters that we might have out of balance. All right, so we have serotonin. Now, serotonin is our neurotransmitter that we think of as our happy hormone. Okay, this is what makes us feel content, happy, and it's also in a range of other roles such as suppressing pain, decreasing appetite, stimulating the production of leptin. Okay, so now if our serotonin happens to be low, we're going to see issues like pain, depression, anxiety, insomnia. Now those are the main things that we're going to see with low serotonin. Okay. Now the interesting thing is when we divide men and women up, we get different symptoms. So men, we're going to see things like ADHD, focus issues, drinking, maybe some alcohol in excess, sometimes some impulsiveness, whereas with women, we're going to see things like carb cravings and mood disorder. So it might look a little bit different, man and woman, when we're looking at the low serotonin, okay? Now, what we're going to do is we're going to talk about balancing that serotonin, but doing it in a natural way. Now, you'll notice that some of these essential oils are listed in white, and the ones that are listed in white can be used all three of those different methods that we talked about above, so topically, internally, and aromatically. But balance is a grounding blend, and that one's just going to be used aromatically and topically. So you can utilize the lavender, chamomile, wild orange, marjoram, melissa, or bergamot, or grounding blend balance to help to balance out that serotonin level and give the body the information that it needs so that the gut can then start getting that serotonin back up there, okay, up to the brain and utilizing it. Now, melatonin is the neurotransmitter that makes us sleepy. Now, low melatonin makes us age at an accelerated rate, okay? Now, I've seen this in some clients where I had a client that was 48 years old and she looked like she was about 70, and her melatonin was so low, she was not sleeping at all, hadn't slept in weeks, very, very high level of stress, couldn't sit still, massive focus issues, and what we did was we started utilizing some essential oils to help balance her out, get her the rest that she needed, and get that melatonin level back up so that she could decrease that aging process that was occurring so accelerated. So it's also inversely related to cortisol, which is our stress hormone, okay? Now, some of the causes of low melatonin are going to be shift work, okay? So if you work nights or graveyards, that's going to be an issue or a cause of low melatonin. If you have some jet lag, if you're drinking alcohol, caffeine, or have some blood sugar imbalances, stress can cause low melatonin, as well as exposure to light. So if you work in a building night shift and there's a lot of light in there, your melatonin is going to be completely off balance as well. And then also too, particularly blue lights. And then electromagnetic waves or frequencies, and just plain age. As we age, our melatonin tends to decrease, and it's harder and harder for us to get that melatonin back up to normal levels. Okay? So balancing melatonin. We have a couple different ways to balance melatonin. One of the essential oils that works really, really well is cedarwood. And that helps to stimulate the pineal gland, which releases the melatonin. So our pineal gland is our night shifter. So basically pineal gland, so hypothalamus takes over and balances the body and is the guide during the daytime. And when it becomes nighttime and we're sleeping, the pineal gland takes over and it's in control of our body. So we have this whole alert and focused, and then our rest and digest, type thing happening. And so we can diffuse that or apply the cedarwood topically. And the best place to apply that is going to be the brainstem. So on the back of your neck, you have this little notch that is kind of a little divot there. And so that's a great place to apply your essential oils because it goes straight to the brain that way. That's known as the gateway to the brain. Now, how about GABA? Now, GABA is a very interesting neurotransmitter. It's known as our inhibitory neurotransmitter, and this one helps to reduce the brain activity, which can thereby suppress our stress and further encourage our sleep. So imagine when it's kind of known as our relaxer. So when our GABA is too low, we're going to see things like overwhelm and anxiousness. And then also, too, we're going to see things like too many, our thought process and our thought patterns just happening way, way, way too fast. So you've got that brain racing, it's going so fast you can't shut it down at night before sleeping. So that'd be kind of like a combination of the serotonin and GABA being on the low side, and then you're going to have trouble focusing as well. So the causes of GABA are going to be stress, low blood sugar, too much caffeine, too much nicotine, and then gluten intolerance. Gluten intolerance is a big, huge one for low GABA. And when somebody's GABA is really low, we're going to see massive anxiousness, things like panic and anxiety disorder. Okay, and then that's also linked to irritable bowel and some fibromyalgia as well as having that low GABA. So how are we going to balance the GABA out? So what we want to do is we want to utilize lavender, cedarwood. So you're seeing some repeat oils here, okay? Marjoram, melissa. Melissa is great for anything to do with neurologic function. So is cedarwood. And we even call cedarwood poor man's Melissa. So start with cedarwood, and if you need something a little bit stronger, you can jump to Melissa. But we always like to use the lesser expensive oils first. See how you do on those. Wild orange. And then we have balance again. And balance again is aromatic and topically, but not internal. Okay? Now, we did see that one study found that a single 1-hour session of yoga increased the GABA by 27%. So imagine if you're doing yoga 2 to 3 times a week, you're going to significantly raise that GABA and calm the body down. You'll have that feeling of overwhelm is going to help kind of kick that in the butt, right? And then we have dopamine. So dopamine is essentially a neurotransmitter that's related to goal-oriented behavior. This is one that makes us focus. It helps to increase our memory, among other things, but it's also associated with addictive behaviors. So in the event that we have the low dopamine, it is definitely going to be seen as, lack of motivation. All right, mostly it's our motivated molecule, basically. It gives us our drive and our focus, do what needs to be done. And when we have the deficiency or low dopamine, we get very apathetic, low energy, no motivation, our libido sinks. We have the inability to really experience that pleasure, all right? And what we do is we start seeking out things that might give us that little boost of dopamine. And we're going to seek it out in substances. And so that's why we see a lot of substance abuse with low dopamine. And that's going to be even things like caffeine, alcohol, sugar, nicotine, recreational drugs, And we'll even see things like shopping, shopaholics, sexaholics, gambling, video game, and then also those thrill seekers. Those are all people looking for that little spike in dopamine so that they can have that feel good, get that motivation to kind of keep going and that kind of stuff. So how are we going to balance that? We are going to use black pepper, grapefruit, jasmine is a wonderful one for that, lemon, rosemary, bergamot, clary sage, and cumin. Now, cumin is also known as turmeric, okay? Very high antioxidant when you're getting the cumin in oil form versus the herb form, okay? And so blends that you can utilize: motivate blend and cheer. Now, in the green, this means that you can use them aromatically and topically, but not internally. All the ones in white, you can utilize all three ways, okay? That's basically the kind of color code that we have here. And if you have questions, please reach out and ask. Acetylcholine. Now, acetylcholine is our molecule of memory and learning. It's one of the principal excitatory neurotransmitters that plays a key role in our memory. It also functions to trigger muscle contractions, stimulates our hormones and sexuality, and it can be involved with wakefulness, attentiveness, anger, aggression, and thirst. Now, if we are seeing low acetylcholine, we're going to experience things that we call senior moments, where we're struggling to remember, we have trouble focusing, following out a plot, or even finding the right words. So if you've got this thought process happening, but then you've got a delay in speaking the word, it does not matter what age you are. That is definitely a low acetylcholine issue. And we've seen low levels of acetylcholine in Alzheimer's patients, about 90%. So that's a very known commonality for clients who have Alzheimer's or memory dysfunction. And so some of the ways that you can help pay attention and utilize better focus is by utilizing essential oils. And the frankincense is wonderful because it passes the blood-brain barrier, and majority of essential oils do. They have the studies on frankincense and some of these others that absolutely for sure do. They believe that all of them do, though. Ylang ylang is a great one for acetylcholine. So remember how I talked a little bit about that anger feel? We do see a lot of catatonic and combative type behavior with people who are, starting to kind of lose their memory. They get a little bit argumentative. And so that ylang ylang helps to calm that down. They're not so angry and not so aggressive. And juniper berry is another one really good for neurologic function. Rosemary helps to support the memory. Cedarwood, and I like to diffuse rosemary and frankincense together, definitely for memory boost. Cedarwood is another one that's really great for focus, memory, and attentiveness and recall. I know that word, And then again, lavender. So we've seen lavender on a lot of these different balancings, right? Nitric oxide. Now this is one that's very, very unique and specific to cardiac function. And so we have nitric oxide is a vasodilator, and it helps us to get more blood to the brain and muscles. It also activates neurons that aren't directly connected, and thus a very important neurotransmitter in helping us to wake up. Okay, so our sleep pattern cycle definitely affected by nitric oxide. Also, too, if you're someone who has a little bit of chest discomfort, blood pressure fluctuations, you might see a little bit of low nitric oxide as well. And to balance that, we have frankincense, which can be used really, really great essential oil to be used over the chest or wrists, spine. Petitgrain, ylang ylang, marjoram, cassia, helichrysum, and cinnamon, all wonderful for cardiac function. and then also to boost the nitric oxide. So you can place 1 to 2 drops on your wrist, over your chest, or on the spine, or the back of the neck, or place 2 to 3 drops a day on any of those areas and as needed. So you can do that a couple times a day plus as needed. So if you feel like, my heart's getting a little bit fluttery, I need to kind of feel like I'm a little bit more calm and rest that heart down, you can do it multiple times a day, utilize those essential oils, even by just opening the bottle and smelling it. That's a wonderful way to calm that cardiac function and that nitric oxide, get that balanced out. Anandamide is a bliss neurotransmitter, and it also appears to be stimulating for creative thinking. So if we are lacking that creativity and just kind of feel stuck and missing our bliss, how to balance that is going to be grounding blend, so balance, or invigorating blend, which is citrus bliss. You can also utilize any of our mood essential oils, which we'll talk about in just a minute, and you would place 1 to 2 drops on the wrist, chest, or back of the neck, and you would do that 2 to 3 times a day and as needed. So you can repeat as often as needed to get that bliss back. Okay. Now, in daily life, our neurotransmitters are constantly at work. So when you go on a roller coaster, your body produces epinephrine and anandamide, and when you have just had a great day out, you'll be filled with all this serotonin and feel happy and positive. You're like energetic and just feeling really, really good. And now you can experience those feelings with using essential oils. So it'll feel like you're out there every day having a great time. Just by utilizing essential oils, you'll get that same effect. Isn't that awesome? And here's kind of like a little cheat sheet that I made for you. Essential oils and the brain and how the brain works. And if you're having stress, you could utilize any of these essential oils. Now, of course, the list is very long, so we kind of just summed up some of our top ones. Lavender, clary sage, frankincense, ylang-ylang, and citrus oils. Any citrus oils help to reduce stress. We're having some issues with attention, focus. We're going to use peppermint, rosemary, sandalwood, ylang-ylang, or Roman chamomile. If we're having some issues with worry, lavender, clary sage, frankincense, sandalwood, and citrus oils as well. And that helps to calm that overwhelm and worriness. Just straight uplifting mood, we can use any citrus oil, but bergamot and wild orange are wonderful. Frankincense, lavender, any of those work wonderful to boost mood. Memory and learning. Peppermint, clary sage, frankincense, rosemary, bergamot, white fir. If you have someone being disruptive and we need to calm them, bust out the diffuser. Let's put some ylang-ylang, vetiver, Roman chamomile, cedarwood, lavender, and sandalwood. You could do any combination of those. Put 3 to 5 drops of any combination of those oils in a diffuser and watch how they calm. They become less disruptive, and you'll see significant difference and change in their demeanor and behavior, which is awesome. Especially if like you're working in I do a lot of classes for Alzheimer's caregivers, so people who take care of people who have Alzheimer's, and it's very trying on the body to care for someone constantly who doesn't remember. They don't have the memory span anymore to remember and focus on what you need them to do. You're like, put your arm through this shirt, and they don't remember what they're doing. And it can be very trying and very, very much a high burnout rate. And so we give those caregivers tools and tricks to help support the clients that they're taking care of, but then also to support themselves, because we don't want them getting burned out and stressed out. We need them to take care of these clients and patients, right? And so very, very important that we're doing everything that we can to help keep the body balanced as we can get it. Now we do have some other blends that are phenomenal, and these are some of those essential oils that we've gone over, but they're put together in blends by doTERRA strictly and very intentively for emotions. Okay, so I want you to take a look at the blue wheel, and we have a lot of words in there, and in there, those words, I want you to think of those emotions that are tied to that wheel, and I want you to think of what emotions there that are listed that you'd like to feel less of. And what you do is you then take that, so let's say discouraged. We want to feel less discouraged. We want to believe in ourselves. We want to increase our courage and confidence. We want to unleash our creativity. And we want to manifest those powerful results from our best efforts, right? So what we do is we go straight up and we see, oh, Motivate Blend is going to help with our discouragement. It's going to keep us from feeling gloomy and keep us from feeling distressed, apathetic, and insecure. It's going to take care of all those basically up in here, all right? Maybe we need a little less somberness or disinterest or boredness or distressedness. We would then try cheer. Cheer is wonderful for increasing our attitude, boosting that happiness and positivity. Just like it says, uplifting blend. It helps us feel uplifted and better, right? We don't want to be like this anymore. We don't want to have that tear coming out. You know, we want to have that joyfulness and feel uplifted and have that balanced mood, right? And then maybe we have some disconnected, bitterness, boredness, then we're going to need some passion. And passion helps to inspire us, to rekindle that excitement and willingness to take risks and make new discoveries. Then we have forgive. Forgive's going to help us with bitter, angry, ashamed, and sad, right? Releasing anger and guilt, moving forward, releasing and feeling that renewed, energized, new you by just letting go. Maybe we've got some grief going on and some sadness, and we've hurt or worried. You know, it doesn't have to be from losing someone. This could be someone who's been abused and just needs some consoling. And they need to just feel hopeful and comforted and emotionally balanced. So that console really helps wonderfully. When I lost my stepdad, my mom, she would just shake continuously, and she's like, I just can't stop shaking, and she was just in shock. We lost him pretty much in a couple of hours. We had no clue, and you know, all of a sudden he was gone, and that shock set in, and it really did help. She put a couple of drops of the console on, and instantly she was calmed. Her nerves were calmed. She was able to grieve really, really peacefully. Does that make sense? The hurt and the worry left her body, and that shaky anxiety that anxiousness, the feelings subsided, and it was like instant calm for her. And so she kept using that over and over again, and she was really able to process a lot of those feelings really quickly, which is awesome, you know, instead of having to just feel crummy all the time. And then we have our last one, our peace blend, for getting rid of feelings of insecurity, anxiousness, fearfulness, worry. And that's going to help support our feelings of reassurance, composure, and return us to that peace and presence. We want to live in the now. We don't want to live in the past. We want to move forward every day, take a step forward, not steps back, not staying stuck, not being stuck in stasis or feeling like you can't move forward. We want to always be able to stick that foot forward and step if we have that opportunity to do so, okay? And so I invite you to take a look at, you can delve into this wheel, which is, if you need a copy of this, please let me know. I'll definitely send that to you. And so I invite you to take control of your chemistry. In short, you know, your happiness, your productivity, creativity, attractiveness, all about your relationships, everything to do with your relationships and how you communicate with other people has much to do with your neurotransmitters and how much quantity those neurotransmitters you have in your body. So when we say, you know, my chemistry made me do it, that literally is a good argument, because ultimately sometimes we feel like we just don't have control anymore. And we blurt out things, we say things like, maybe we say something that we don't mean. We don't have control over our thoughts and actions sometimes, and we do something or say something that we regret. Our neurotransmitters are a lot to blame for that. And so we want to invite you to boost those neurotransmitters by utilizing essential oils. And this has been a wonderful opportunity to share with you and educate you a little bit more about all the different ways that you can utilize. And I just scratched the surface with this little video, but there's so many different ways that you can utilize your essential oils and get the desired effects for your own personal health and wellness. And I invite you to get your health back now. There's a link below this that allows you to click. And if you don't have that link, this is the website right here. It will guide us in helping you to get the information that you need. So if you need more information about essential oils, want to know how you can get some, or just want to know more about how they work, anything that you might have questions on, please reach out to us. We would love to help you get started in feeling better. And I invite you to share this with any of your friends that may need some help boosting their neurotransmitters as well. And I hope you have a great day, and I'll talk to you soon.